In the world of news and in the headlines that is on the newspapers, we just know that the oil lady has finally been found. Where has she been? Who exactly is she? Those are questions that I know most of us are asking themselves, and we'll try follow up on that story just to get to know what exactly has been happening. And I have a word for you today, that tomorrow's preparation begins today. Tomorrow being figurative and tomorrow also being very literal. So start today. Whatever it is that you want to work on, that you've been thinking of working on, just start today. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Vivian.
Do you love some avocados, by the way, now that I've talked of guacamole?
Well, I do love some avocado, but I know of someone who loves avocados to death, and that's my brother. Okay. He does love those things. Welcome to the show. My name is Mike Megwe, and today we are going to look at the modernization of the government press. What does it do? What document does it print? And there's a task force that was put in place by the president to ensure the modernization and transformation of the government press. We'll be looking into that, and in studio I'll be joined by one Nzomo Bithuka to let us know more on this modernization that is going to happen on the government press. Good morning, Victor.
Morning.
How are you doing?
I didn't know avocado is called, did you call it guacamole?
Guacamole is a mixture of avocado. Yani kachumbari imeomoka. Kachumbari and then
yeah. Kachumbari that has received some help or something. I didn't know. Okay.
So it has a day of...
I didn't know it's called guacamole. Okay,
it's called guacamole.
I don't
Tomatoes,
take
onions, avocado, and some spring onions.
Okay.
No, some dania actually.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Welcome to the program. My name is Victor Law, sitting in for Ben Troy this particular day, as we're going to take a look at what's making headlines in the news, as well as what's on the headlines later on in the newspapers. But right about now, the Kenya Kwanza government is seeking to increase the 2023-2024 budget by 186 billion shillings in its first supplementary budget to be tabled in Parliament soon. The increase, according to the chairperson of the Parliamentary Budget and Appropriation Committee, that is Ndindi Nyoro, is to cater for the increased loan servicing obligations as well as capitation for schools and expansion of the subsidized fertilizer program. Nyoro says that the weakening of the shilling is putting a strain on the country's debt obligation, as our Trevor Ngendo now narrates.
Various parliamentary committees have been presenting their reports to be included in the first supplementary budget for the current financial year. And Tuesday, the chairperson of the Parliamentary Budget and Appropriations Committee, Ndindi Nyoro, said, taking into consideration the presentation, this year's budget is set to increase by 186 billion shillings.
We are revising our budget upwards by a tune of around 186 billion so far. And with a few additionals that we may end up incorporating, we'll have additional expenditure of around 200 billion.
He says what had been budgeted for servicing external debts is set to increase due to a weaker shilling that has lost its value to the dollar by at least 18% this year.
We have had to revise our interest repayment by 145 billion Kenya shillings. This is as a result of the increment in interest rate, but also majorly out of the variations in the dollar from the time we read the budget.
The increased supplementary budget is also to cater for school capitation and junior secondary school allocations.
That is around 5 billion Kenya shillings on JSS. We have also been able to add more money into help and to also capacitate the new university funding model, making it a reality.
In addition, smallholder farmers are expected to be the biggest beneficiaries of the supplementary budget after allocations for the subsidized fertilizer program increased to 8.2 billion shillings.
We have added 4 billion shillings into coffee cherry fund. It goes into assisting the coffee farmers across the country. The other element is that we have put in money for sugar farmers, majority of whom are owed colossal amounts of money, we have provisioned over 1.2 billion Kenya shillings that will go into paying farmers in terms of arrears they are owed across the country.
We are still looking at which other areas can we reduce, which other areas are not key that can wait, so that we're able to rearrange further and reduce the deficit.
Right, on matters foreign relations, Kenya will broaden its cooperation with Romania to cover areas of mutual interest such as agriculture, environment conservation, ICT and disaster management, among others. President William Ruto says that more attention will be paid to trade and investments so as to boost exports and improve the balance of trade. He made the remarks at State House in Nairobi when he hosted Romanian President Klaus Iohannis, who is in Kenya for a 3-day state visit.
Romanian President Klaus Iohannis and First Lady Carmen Georgeta on Tuesday received at State House Nairobi by their host President William Ruto and First Lady Rachel Ruto. After the reception formalities, the two presidents retreated to a bilateral meeting. The talks culminated in the signing of 4 memorandum of understanding on the environmental protection and climate change, cooperation on sanitary, veterinary and food safety, agricultural research and cooperation, and Diplomatic Institute and the Foreign Service Academy of Kenya.
During our discussions, I requested His Excellency the President to join me in advocating for climate action and calling upon developed nations to work with us. And I have requested him directly to support the Nairobi Leaders' Declaration that positions Africa.
I've expressed my appreciation for the role of leader undertaken by President Ruto and Kenya in the efficient management and fighting climate change. And we've agreed that our administrations cooperate tighter in this respect.
President Ruto and Klaus resolved to continuously work together in a bilateral and multilateral spheres to promote and support the achievement of the Global Development Agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals.
Accordingly, our discussion focused on strategies and interventions by which we can enhance trade and investment between our two countries. We've also shared ideas on new opportunities to improve the balance of trade and enhance investment between our two countries.
We want to value the geostrategic positions of Romania and Kenya as gateways, significant gateways for the regional economy.
The two heads of state also briefly touched on the Russia-Ukraine war, which according to the two has dire repercussions.
And as a result of the war, we have a serious situation of escalating prices of food items. And that has resulted in higher costs of living in our continent.
Romanian assessments regarding the aggression war carried out by Russia against Ukraine, the direct consequences of the armed conflict on the security of Romania and at European level. Furthermore, I've analyzed the effects of these conflicts on the food safety of the states in Africa, including on Kenya.
During his 3-day visit to Kenya, President Klaus will attend a meeting with the Executive Director of the United Nations Environment Programme at the United Nations office in Nairobi. The Romanian head of state is also expected to visit Tanzania and Senegal, trips that he is expected to conclude on the 23rd of this month in a bid to revitalize the relationship between Romania and Africa. Abdiaziz Hashim from State House, Nairobi.
All right. Anne Njeri, the businesswoman at the heart of the controversial importation of 17 billion shillings oil cargo from Saudi Arabia, appeared at the Mombasa law court 5 days after her lawyer Cliff Ombeta claimed that she was missing. Njeri now alleges that she had been in police custody at an unknown location but was reportedly released on Monday evening and abandoned at Nyayo Estate in Embakasi, Nairobi. She had insisted that she is the rightful owner of the oil.
Na walikuja na wakaniuliza maswali ya kwamba niseme ukweli, na kama hamna ukweli maisha yangu itaisha hapo. Nikamwambia ninaambia ukweli, mafuta ni yangu na nimeleta na niuze. Hiyo siku ya kuondoka tena, na wakaniambia nafaa niende kwa sababu hakuna hatia yote wanaona mbele yangu. Mafuta
sasa wamechukua mafuta, lakini sisi kesi bado tutafuatia. Tunataka mafuta yetu. Anatafuatia mafuta yake. Iwe yako hapa au yako nje au popote, mafuta ni yake. Wale ambao wamesema tulikuwa tumeiba na wamechukua makaratasi na wameanza kubadilisha, wacha watoe yao tuone. Mbona hawajapiga simu pale mafuta yalitoka waulize mafuta ni ya nani? Kwa sababu kuna documents za kuonyesha nani mwenye mafuta pale.
Definitely, we keep tabs on that particular story. Now, the government says that revenue collected from the digitization of services has risen from 70 million shillings at the beginning of the year to 200 million shillings. State agencies that had initially been temporarily exempted from digitizing their services have been urged to fast-track the integration of their system to ensure that full compliance before the December 31st deadline. More than 14,000 services have been transferred to the e-Citizen platform, with another 2,000 in the process.
The Secretary to the Cabinet, Mercy Wanjau, on Tuesday met principal secretaries, chief executive officers and board chairpersons of 17 state-run agencies over compliance with the presidential directive on the onboarding of services on e-Citizen. The 17 agencies that had initially been granted temporary exemption due to the complexity of their services have been urged to abide by the December 31st deadline.
These are some of the exemptions we did at the beginning to give them time to be able to integrate their systems. And I'm happy to inform you that the PSS have agreed that we are going to work together with them to ensure that all the services are 100% integrated by 31st of December this year.
We'll be devoting even more time to understand the businesses that they handle, so that at the end of the day and hopefully before that deadline, we are able to recognize all services as they should be on the platform. We are committed to meet this deadline and thereafter begin to improve the customer experience and move towards customer delight.
They include the Kenya Revenue Authority, Kenya Power, Kenya Ports Authority, Kenya Bureau of Standards, Hustler Fund, Kenya National Examinations Council, and the Kenya Railways Corporation, among others. So far, over 14,000 services have been fully onboarded on the e-Citizen platform, while another 2,000 are in the process. The government says that it is well on course in the migration, with an upward trend in revenue collection witnessed.
This remains a work in progress, and we continue to encourage feedback from the users so that we can improve the delivery of services. We can cater for any unique circumstances that may exist in the course of delivery of certain kind of services, and ultimately that we may be able to achieve revenue enhancement and transparency. There has been a revenue growth starting from about 70 million at the beginning of this year to about 200 million, and we expect that amount to grow.
Congratulations, they booked their wedding online, they did everything on e-Citizen. Today they were going to see the registrar.
While unveiling the government services on e-Citizen on the 30th of June 2023, President William Ruto directed all state agencies to migrate their services online. He also directed that they use 22222 as the official pay bill number by the end of the year. The migration was aimed at improving service delivery, while at the same time sealing loopholes in revenue collection.
All right, the government has tapped the Petroleum Development Kitty to keep the pump prices of super petrol unchanged and reduce the retail prices of diesel and kerosene by 2 shillings per litre. In the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority had tapped the Petroleum Development Kitty, fuel would have increased, with a litre of super petrol rising by 12 shillings and 1 cent. Diesel would have been cost here by 10 shillings and 82 cents, while kerosene would have increased by 3 shillings and 64 cents. Now, the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority says that during the month, the shilling weakened to 155.64 shillings to the dollar compared to 153.25 cents during the previous month. All right, so let's do some sports. And Cabinet Secretary for Youth Affairs, Creative Economy and Sports, that's Babu Namwamba, says that plans are underway for the completion and redesigning of Kamarine Stadium in Iten, Elgeyo Marakwet County. Speaking during the stadium inspection tour, the CS pointed out that preparations were at advanced stage for the construction and completion of an elite high-altitude training camp around the camp, while also rehabilitating the camp for other usage. That is the stadium for other usage. It's announced that the ministry will commence the renovation of the Iten sports ground to raise the standard to a level that will offer the region's sportsmen and women a platform to continue developing their talents.
We can accelerate. Correct. Yeah. Design and build, I think even in a month, we can be ready. Yeah. So you don't need design? So we do design and build, and then we instruct the contractor to start with the stadium. Correct. We need to do something on that as government. In the works. In the works, either beautify it and so that it's part of the whole development.
All right. That does it on sports, business and news. Right about now, let me take you through what we have on the front page, or rather on the traffic, just before you leave the house. It's been a rainy day here in the city. Let me take you through the traffic situation. Let me start with the capital city, of course, starting with Nairobi. Today being the 15th day, was the traffic like this particular morning? The magic wall is behaving on me. Phineas, what did you do? Okay. So far, the city looks okay. As far as this is concerned, the entire city is green. There you go. It's refreshed. All right. So the entire city looks green as at now. A bit of some traffic at Thika Road. That's just around Muthaiga Square, but the entire stretch looks okay. How about those people who are going to use coming all the way from Westlands, coming to Museum Hill and ultimately into the CBD? So far, so good. What about Mombasa Road? All moving pretty fine. I think it's a bit early still. Not yet 7. It's a few minutes to the top of the hour. Langata Road also moving pretty fine all the way from Langata, Wilson Airport, joining Nyayo National Stadium. Still looking fine. So if you need to be in town within no minutes, this is your time to get into the city. Let me refresh that as well and see what we have. That is in Kisumu City. Kisumu, same picture, same scenario. Everything moving pretty fine as at now. That is what you have all the way from, as you move all the way from Kakamega Road, that is all the way to Kondela roundabout down there, moving fine as you come into the CBD. So far, so good. Outside towards the Kisumu International Airport, pia iko sawa, and you get outbound towards Ahero, exiting Kisumu County is also looking fine. For the sake of those people who are using the lake, it looks pretty good. Yeah, that is it. Ndio hiyo sasa. Okay. Traffic iko sawa. Let's go to Mombasa. Good morning. Coast. You have to go to work this particular morning. All the way, the major road here, that is Nyali Road, moving all the way from Pirates Beach, coming down to Nyali City Mall. That is all the way coming to Kongwea Market. Looking okay. A bit of some traffic there at Kengeleni. That it looks okay. So far, so good. Kongwea Market is one of the busiest markets ever known in Kenya. But coming towards New Nyali Bridge, all okay. Sabasaba, pia iko sawa kabisa, watu Mombasa. And then when you come towards Makupa Causeway, the new bridge which was built, a bit of some traffic as you come towards Makupa. I think it's actually outbound, not inbound, as you head towards, as you head outside Mombasa, a bit of some traffic. I don't know what's happening there. But so far, so good. The entire stretch looking pretty fine. All right, that is as far as traffic is concerned in Mombasa. At the ferry channel, again, there's nothing as you speak. I don't know what's happening there. That is the Likoni ferry. There we have it. There's nothing much to report about at this particular hour. We'll wait and see what will happen in the next hour, maybe. All right, that does it on the traffic situation. Let me take you through the front page of the local dailies before we flip into our main interview right now, digitization of the government press. That is going to be taken by Mike Miggy. Okay, on the front page of the Daily Nation, face behind 17 billion shillings fuel, face behind the 17 billion shillings fuel. That's what we have on the front page. Anne Njeri, we know her story. She's been missing for quite some number of days, around 5 days, but yesterday she appeared in Mombasa court accompanied by her lawyer, that is Wakili Clay Fombeta, and she claimed that she had been abducted over the 17 billion shillings fuel. Truth will be unveiled as this case is now active in court. And also import and export enterprises also deals in curios and handicrafts. That is what you have on the front page of the Daily Nation. Anjeri Njoroge, the businesswoman at the center of the ownership row over 17 billion shillings consignment of diesel, resurfaced yesterday claiming that a 4-day kidnap ordeal and torture, even as fresh details emerged on her businesses and dealings in Kenya, Uganda, Dubai, Russia, and Israel. But the paper trail raises more questions than answers. Story on page 7. Take a look at that. Kindiki now revises fees for IDs and passports. I think this is because of the public uproar. Now, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kithure Kindiki has revoked a Gazette notice that increased fees for key documents such as identity cards, passports, birth certificates, and government staff badges, some by much as 20 times to allow for public participation following a nationwide uproar. That is there. Regional power play ahead of UDA polls. A twin plot by Kenya Kwanza region to have, Mount Kenya region rather, to have a single deputy party leader, and the Secretary General's position in the United Democratic Alliance Party has kicked up a storm. Politicians from the regions have now opposed a proposal to have 2 deputy party leaders, insisting on reserving the position for Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Interesting days ahead in our political arena. What is on the front page of the Star newspaper? Halwala reveals silent battle by Musalia and Rigathi. Again, politics. Kirinyaga senator dismisses Boni, says that he brought no votes to Ruto's campaign. Again, we have this one here. Powerful figures behind woman in controversial 17 billion shillings oil cargo. And Jerry, there on the front page of the Star newspaper. She appeared yesterday, as we had already reported. She appeared yesterday at a Mombasa court. Prepare passports to jobs abroad, according to PS. Some good news for people looking for jobs. Kenyan youth have been urged to acquire travel documents in readiness for overseas job openings. Labour and Skills Development PS Shadrach Modime said many qualified Kenyans have been missing out on the advertised opportunities due to lack of passports and police clearance certificates. Get ready, get ready, get ready. It's dry one moment and a deluge the next in Turkana. Again, pictures showing a trail of destruction, actually lorries overturning and properties getting destroyed due to the heavy rains right now being experienced across the country. That is what is there. That is Halwale exposes Mudavadi and DP Gachagua silent war. And now Senator says that President Ruto's successor will be a lawyer and not the DP. That is what we can say a storm in the kingdom. But is it? That is all politics. They know how to play it. Powerful individuals behind the woman claiming the 17 billion shillings oil. Anjeri appeared. And now the KPAO says that the oil does not belong to her. And even the documents were forged. The truth will be known later on. The case is active. Again, on the front page of the Standard newspaper, my 12-hour ordeal with quote-unquote kidnappers. That is Anne Njeri, still covering our local papers here. Anne Njeri, the woman at the center of 17 billion shillings oil import dispute, says that she was held captive in a windowless house for 120 hours and given the option of either surrendering the diesel or facing death. even as other documents emerged, casting more doubts on real ownership of the fuel import load. Njeri appeared yesterday at a Mombasa Law Court. Long search for police uniform to lift its image. The police have still been going through the state of change, and now long search for police uniform to lift its image. This started way back in the last regime. Remember, the government had some sample on what was happened. That was then by former Interior CS, who also gave, that is Matiang'i, who also gave other ideas on police uniforms in the state of having police reform. State eats up to 74 billion shillings fund at CBK. Again, that's in the story on the front page. KRA loses 791 million shilling tax appeal battle. Judges rules that it was unfair and illegal for taxman to demand records that are over 5 years old for audit. Okay, this is what we are going to do. Ruto, Sudan leader, close ranks on peace. The President William Ruto and Sudan leader Abdel Abdurrahman agreed to work towards all-inclusive talks to find peace in the Horn of Africa nation. A move towards the right direction. So this is what's on the front page of actually second page and third page of the Standard is all about Njeri and the story about the oil. Njeri, I was told to choose either oil or my life. So who is speaking the truth? Okay. So 17 billion shillings oil deal. Woman and KPA boss engage in blame game. As I said, it's now back and forth between who is the legit owner of that particular oil. Let's leave it at that. Ruto and Abdul Al-Burhan foster diplomacy in Sudan, agreed to push for peace. A very good move there for the two countries. Usually say that when your brother's house is on fire, you need to go there and check what's happening. And finally, on the front page of the People Daily, still on Njeri, okay? Still on the front page, that is the Daily Nation, all the papers, Star, Standard, and now finally on the front page of People Daily, mystery deepens in 17 billion shillings fuel saga. Woman claiming that she owns the import diesel surfaces in Mombasa. That happened yesterday. Questions now remain on whether government ignored court order. And finally, human rights lobby group accused the state of impunity over businesswoman's safety. As we talk about that, petrol prices unchanged, kerosene and diesel drop. That is the latest review that was given out by KEPRA yesterday. Pressure of a cost of living likely to have influenced reprieve that will last till mid-December. And finally, still on the front page, Romania leader in Kenya for business talks, visiting Romanian President Klaus Werner, also had some of the bilateral talks with President William Ruto in State House in Nairobi as they seek to have more international relations in the two nations. So this is what's happening. Senators call for probe into Kingi's tenure as governor. Interesting. Busia Senator Okia Mtata proposed that the Speaker be summoned to appear before a committee. Well, I'm not a legal expert, but I don't know how it will turn out. He is the Speaker right now of the Senate, and he's being summoned to appear before a committee to explain his tenure while he was the governor. So let's wait and see how this will happen. It's all politics, they say, and they know how to do it. So woman behind 17 billion shillings fuel saga now resurfaces. We'll take a look at that later on in our bulletins. That will be coming later on in the day. All right, that does it on news, traffic updates, as well as what's on the front page of our local dailies. My name is Victor Lowe. I'm handing you over to Mike Migwi to steer this discussion. The digitization of the government press, that is the next discussion that you don't want to miss. But right about now, we take a break, Director? All right, let's take a break and we come back. Migwi, kazi kwako. Good morning.
No. The money was there, and I haven't authorized any movements. Get out of this house!
What happened, Arturo? What is going on?
Our son, the successful businessman, has been cheating us all.
Wanted to help him to get the money back, and I sold a part of it to Carlos Molina.
What?
No one will help you because this time you're on your own.
And what do you know?
Person who put up the capital to buy the shares of Arturo was me.
I just heard that there's a fire spreading in the woods, and Danielle is out there in the hut. Everything is burning.
متغير ياما عن زمان قافل على قلبك البيبان حبيت وفارقت كم مكان.
Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam alituhimiza tutekeleze mambo ambayo natija yake ni kukaribia Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala na kupata radhi zake.
Je, wewe kama mwanadamu umeweza kuimarisha vipi mafungamano yako katika wewe kama mja na Mola wako tabaraka wa taala?
Balle balle balle.
Really appreciate it, you guys. I might be tired, but I have to keep working.
Honestly, Nanjia, you're such a workaholic that I don't think you'd enjoy living this kind of life every day.
Is it?
It means it's time for you to get a boyfriend. You're 27 years old. It's about time. Dishing's mother is missing, then I have to go too. I'll help you look for her.
People have depression, but they hide it. They hide it so no one can see it. Not even their close friends or parents.
All I know is if Jingjing were here, she wouldn't like us talking like this.
Of course you didn't expect to find me here.
I'm tired of everyone judging me, saying that I betrayed the company.
At least I'm not the one who opened the door for the snake here.
You're just not caught.
What is this man doing here? This family has no idea that you are about to betray them.
What do you want? I'm going to give you Uganda. I see trans in the family.
Money is an issue here.
So this is personal.
Now we are on the same page.
Did your father send you here? I answer to no one.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm coming after you with all that I have.
You've always been a scum.
Don't call me that.
You will never succeed doing anything in this world without me, Alice.
How do you manage to know every step I take?
It's a cocktail of emotions. The puns that cracks up the family. Greed that yields power and a hunger for success. Friends turn to foes. Survival for the fittest is the drive.
Who are we blackmailing?
But nothing beats the feud in a family where one disappears and another fights for the crown.
It was not supposed to go this far.
It's the desire to succeed that keeps us going, the deception that keeps us digging, and the laughter pill that keeps us living. KBC brings you children's programs at its very best. From preschoolers to the teens, featuring the very best of untapped talents, showcasing arts and crafts, music and poetry. We bring you the latest animations and teach the children how to do it.
Can you read the word with happy hippo?
Join us every Saturday from 7 a.m. and weekdays in the late afternoons as we bring you entertaining children programming on KBC Channel 1.
Kenya. 1, 2, 1, 2. Welcome back to Good Morning. Welcome back to Good Morning Kenya. This is a very nice morning to you. A very good morning to you. Well, that happens on here. A very good morning to you, and welcome to Good Morning Kenya. My name is Mike Megwe, and today we are going to look at one particular issue surrounding the government press. We are looking at the modernization of the government printer. And to help me in this conversation in studio, I'm joined by the Vice Chair of the Presidential Task Force on the Modernization and Transformation of the Government Press, Bwana Nzomo Mbithuka. Karibu sana to the studios.
Thanks, Mike, and good morning, Kenya.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Maybe to start off, what is the mandate of the government printer before we talk about everything else?
Great, thanks, Mike. And I want to distinguish between two things.
Yes.
One of which is the government printer and the government press.
Yes.
Because a lot of times they're used interchangeably. But just want to clarify that the government printer is essentially the CEO of the institution that is the government press. And just to give a bit of background, the government press is the institution that is mandated to publish standardized government documents.
Yes.
Touching on the national government, the judiciary, our parliament, and county governments, among others. This is an institution that was established way back in 1895.
Yes.
So we're talking about an institution that is 128 years old. That is way back when Kenya was then called the British East African Company. And the institution has been serving the country for all these years in different aspects. And probably as we go into the discussions, I'll be able to share a lot more.
We'll come back to that. Let's first of all head to Mombasa, where we will be joined by Regina Manyara, who is attending a conference on IEK. Take it away.
Well, good morning, Mike. We're coming to you live from Mombasa for the 30th IEK International Convention. Yesterday was day one. This is day two and happens to be the official opening. And we're expecting chief guest none other than Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua to grace this particular convention. Today is going to be action-packed, and let me just take you through what we are expecting here. We're expecting that keynote address by Deputy President, as I mentioned there, Rigathi Gachagua, at around 8:30 rear-about. Then we're going to have quite, heavy topics to be discussed in the morning session, including where we are going nowhere without engineering. That's a curious theme to have this morning. It's because engineers who have converged here, where we are around 4,000 engineers, local engineers, as well as 400 international engineers. The conversation is about how engineering is here to create solutions to the current problems currently, and also looking into the future in light of even where technology is going. We're talking about Internet of Things and AI, so to speak, climate change and adaptation as well as mitigation. Secondly, we're also going to have the regulator lead a conversation, that is the Engineering Board of Kenya, under the leadership of Registrar Margaret Ogai. They're leading a conversation on engineering for socio-economic growth, every aspect of engineering within our economy, and also matters of soft skills for engineers. This is including how do engineers better communicate, their workings as well as their dealings for visibility. This is also a topic that was covered yesterday when women and the youth had the separate sessions. They're talking about women inclusion as well as young engineers and why they are not practicing, or rather taking up active roles in engineering professions. It came out that engineers are not adequately, having conversations, visibility, using the right tools, including social media presence, to actually talk about what solutions they have come up with for the various situations that we have. In the afternoon, we're going to have 5 breakout sessions that are going to be happening concurrently. And curiously enough, Mike, I know you're about to have a conversation on matters of infrastructure and transport, and that is one of the key topics that is going to be discussed today. And we are expecting none other than PS Charles Hinger to discuss matters of housing, infrastructure, transport, and finance for engineering. As fiscal planning is being done, are we factoring in the role of engineers? At a time when looking at the Central Business District, where you are, Mike, it indicates that 85% of Kenyans actually make their way to the Central Business District each and every morning. But does the requisite infrastructure commensurate the population that currently makes its way to the city? That's a question that is going to be answered in the afternoon session. Another conversation that is going to be happening is water, irrigation, environment, and climate change. Just coming months after Kenya held the ACS, that is the Africa Climate Summit, under the Nairobi Declaration, conversations around water, irrigation, and environment, as well as climate change, have been at the fore, looking at what the government as well as private sector is doing to ensure that as we adapt, climate is here. It's not going to change. Like today, it's raining. Yesterday, it was sunny. We're also talking about the heavy rains that are pounding various parts of the country. Are engineers actively playing a role in this to ensure that, look at water harvesting, so that in the next few months, weeks, we will not be talking about drought? The other third one is energy, electrification, and ICT. And I see the president of IEK, our host for this particular convention, making his way to where we are. Maybe he can tell us what to expect, especially that now today is the official opening of this particular international convention. Good morning, Engineer Ohag.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm very much well. We are done planting trees. Now we're here for the official opening. What should we expect?
Thank you so much, and we are very happy, the engineering fraternity of this country today, as we host this 30th IEK International Convention. And of course, as we do this, we are cognizant of the fact that we are bringing the world to Kenya with the World Council of Civil Engineers, and we want to expose our engineers to the best practices of the world. And therefore, there's a very great opportunity for our members, engineers, suppliers, and even stakeholders of this country to have an opportunity to interact, to benchmark best practices, so that we can be able to move our engineers across the globe for purposes of building this world all together.
One of the topics that is going to be discussed today is that we are going nowhere without engineering. That's quite a curious topic. What was the thinking behind having such a theme, especially for the official opening morning session?
Thank you so much. And I normally refer our members to the Asian Tigers. We talk about Malaysia. We talk about Singapore. These are blueprint countries that have actually made it as a result of utilization of the engineering resources. These are countries that looked around and said that for us to be able to develop, then you must make sure that the engineers are on the board. They provide very innovative solutions to the problem that exists in terms of infrastructure, so that we can move forward. And I'm happy that that particular topic is going to be delivered by none other than the chairman of the Ghanaian Institution of Engineers, Engineer Dr. Kwame Bonche. And I think it's a very good topic for us, that leaders of this continent, leaders of the region should actually recognize and embrace engineers and other professionals, so that as a nation, as a region, and as a world, we should be able to move forward and achieve our SDG as it were.
Some 2 days ago, those who are making their way to Mombasa actually got stuck in traffic, actually over 2 hours of traffic. That is an engineering, solution there. Now, how are we planning? Are we adequately planning when it comes to housing, infrastructure, and traffic? And transport. Have we fully involved engineers in this particular developments that we're having, or is there a missing gap?
I think from conceptualization into design and then implementation of any projects, you find we have very good blueprints. Engineers have participated in feasibility studies. They have provided those designs. But of course, we operate within finite resources. And you find that at times the proposals that have been made are never implemented in time to be able to provide tangible solutions to solve the problem that exists. I can assure you the engineers, whatever they do every single day, is first of all to look at the problems, and that is a serious practical problem that actually exists. The designs to be able to even expand the roads, designs to be able to make our systems motorable, have been done by our engineers, and that is a typical problem that I know will be able to be discussed here, as we say, on issues of even affordable housing, or how to look at how we are able to provide low-cost materials that are still meeting technical specifications and able to make us and move forward in the most cost-effective manner.
It's a busy morning, but I'm not going to let you off before we speak about, smart cities. It's something that government has been speaking about. Now we are talking about green cities. Give us some, what's your thoughts about this?
If you talk about artificial intelligence, it's moving the world, where components are able to communicate to each other. And we are talking about efficiency and effectiveness. And when we embrace artificial intelligence, that is what is going to make us move forward. This government is also very cognizant of the fact that we must engage and embrace digital economy. And there's a whole state department that is actually dealing with the digital economy, where we want to connect all households, we want to connect all infrastructures, we want to connect trading centers so that people are able to communicate, people are able to do business, people are able to undertake even manufacturing activities using artificial intelligence. And that's all about innovation. By so we should be able to make progress in the short
term. Now, Mr. President, are you worried as an engineer now that we've come of age when you talk about AI? There's some quarters, there's some professions that are actually very worried about, the uptake of AI as an engineer. Are you worried?
Not worried at all, because those AIs, the inputs come from an engineer. It's just the effectiveness that we are going to improve. So there will be no lack of opportunities. We have to embrace technology all the time, because every single minute things are changing and we go to change with those times. And therefore engineers are always embracing technology at any given time for purposes of ensuring effectiveness and efficiency.
Very well said. We have been speaking to none other than the president of IEK, our host for this international convention that is taking place during this week, started yesterday, but today is the second day, and the official opening ceremony is going to be officiated by none other than Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Some conversations there that are going to be very interesting is where we are, not only as a country, but also as a globe when it comes to adoption of technology in engineering, where matters of technology, as the president has said, IEK, it's just how we input, but this has been generated by engineers. I'm Regina Manyara. We are live here at Pride in Mombasa, Shanzu. So we hand you back to Broadcasting House. We're going to be keeping tabs on what is going to be happening at this convention, where at around 8:39 a.m. we're going to have Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua here. To you, Mike.
Thank you, Ray. Ray speaking to us from Mombasa, where there is the 30th IEK International Convention that brings together national and international engineering fraternity. And some of the things they'll be talking about is how engineering can can provide solutions for the future, especially in the area of infrastructure. We'll be keeping tabs on that, and we'll inform you accordingly as the convention continues. We get back to a conversation, and we are talking about the modernization of the government press. And before we went live to Mombasa, we were talking about the mandate of the government press. Please continue on that point.
Thanks, Mike. So the mandate, as I indicated, is around standardization and cataloging, printing and publishing of official government documents.
Yes.
That has been the core mandate of the government press.
Yes.
And over the years, it's provided these services to our citizens, albeit to different levels of efficiency and effectiveness. Mm-hmm. And the reason why on 23rd of June 2023, His Excellency the President of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, in furtherance of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, that is BITA, which is looking at agile government and citizen-centric service delivery. After assessing the capability and the mandate of the government press, he thought that it's important at this point in time to engage in transforming the institution to be able to respond better to the challenges and requirements of the Kenyan citizen of the 21st century. Thank you.
Now, you've talked about the task force. Now, the mandate of the task force on the modernization and transformation of the government press, what specifically are you going to deal with?
Right. So, Mike, for this task force, mm-hmm. Number one, the mandate was around doing a situational analysis of the current processes, the production systems, mm-hmm. and capacity of the government press as is. Beyond that is for us to be able to look at what is happening around the world in similar institutions. How are they doing it? What kind of machinery are available? And can we be able to borrow from these best practices? But beyond that is one of the key mandates is transforming the entity into a commercially viable institution, whereby we can decouple it from exchequer dependency, so that it can also give money to the government. But beyond that is do works that have traditionally not been done by the government press, because when you look at around the world, government press institutions, some of them will be doing things like printing of national exams. They'll be doing things like printing of passports. In some jurisdictions, you'll find that there are institutions that are also printing the national currency, both for the country and also for other countries. That so those are some of the things that, as a task force, we are looking at doing. The other mandate is around looking at the legal establishment, the legal mandate, the instruments that have established it. And currently, it sits as a department under the Executive Office of the President. We want to see, as a task force, is this the best model in terms of the future that the President is looking at, or how else can we be able to advise our appointing authority in terms of how to transition the institution to respond better to these challenges and the mandate that is set out for us.
Why has it taken so long to modernize the government press? Because currently they are using machines acquired between 1930 and 1980. Why now?
I think it's about the motivation. It's about as the need been seen in terms of the capability of the institution, and there have been previous attempts, from former ministers of interior, who've established task forces, within the institution itself and within the ministries, but they've not taken off even after the reports have been shared with them. And the current regime, saw it fit that we focus on delivering this change to the institution, and the reason why it was set up, because I just want to reflect back in terms of some of the requirements, and I spoke about beta, agile government, and citizen-centric service delivery. You've in the recent days heard about delays in passport production, things like IDs, birth certificates, title deeds, because all these documents are part of what is produced by the government press. And because of these delays, what happens is that citizens are not able to get services in good time. For instance, if you're talking about a farmer or a business person who wants to get a facility in a bank, this inordinate delay in terms of production of a title deed is delayed gratification in terms of earning value, in terms of earning money for them. A kid who wants to register for an exam, all these are pain points that the government wants to remove. And I think there's commitment from the head of state to ensure that we can have a government press that responds to those particular requirements, and beyond that is to do other jobs that will be able to give value and money to the country.
Yes. From what you've just said, it seems the government press is facing a lot of challenges in delivering its mandate. Maybe you can talk a little bit about the major challenges that the government press is facing right now.
Thanks, Mike. One of the challenges is around equipment, because we are talking about an institution that is working with equipment or machines, some of which were procured in the 1930s, and I don't know whether you know of any machine in any of your experiences. Even our kisiagis,
yes.
The ones that we used for milling our flour.
Yes.
I remember way back when I was growing up, we used to have the ones that are manual.
Yeah.
So we are literally at that point in time where it's machines that support is not available at the moment. Some of the manufacturers have even gone under, and it's taken engineers at government press, ingenuity and for them to be creative, to be able to ensure that these machines can be able to serve them and their current needs. So that's one of the major challenges. The other challenge is around capacity, processes within the government press. In terms of institutional setup, where it currently sits, probably it may not be able to achieve what the president envisions around it being commercially viable. So those have been some of the challenges. There's also the issue of technology. There's minimum use of technology, because currently, for instance, if you want to publish a notice, you lose your title deed and you're in the village, down in Mandera or in Kilifi, you have to come all the way to Nairobi to be able to, probably be able to get your work prioritized or published. But how if we use technology so that wherever you are, you can be able to place in your requirement, you pay for it using the eCitizen platform, be able to track that production of that document, and the same is sent over to you by courier. So those are some of the things that and transformations that we are looking at in terms of making proposals for the transformation that His Excellency the President envisioned. It
also points out to the point of underfunding. Has the government press received adequate funding?
I would say insufficiently funded, from a budgetary perspective, and that's primarily the reason why they could not be able to invest in capital expenditure, buying new machinery, being able to expand the operations, to take in new jobs, because for them to be able to take in new jobs, they require training of staff. They require to have, the environment under which they do this work improved upon. Some of the documents that they want to engage in printing are security documents. So how do you, firm up the security around the institution that we're building? So, that's been one of the challenges. Okay. But in the transition to a commercially viable entity, the vision is to ensure that in the next couple of years, they can be self-reliant in terms of budgetary allocations, and they can, at the end of the day, be able to give a check to the National Treasury by way of a dividend.
Yes. Yeah. You sit in the Presidential Task Force on the Modernization and Transformation of the Government Press. What are some of the proposals that you have made towards the intended modernization?
Thank you. Because our process is not yet over, so we are at what you may call a brainstorming session, where we are coming up with ideas, and some of which we've exposed to the public by way of public participation. If I may go into details, we finalized that last week on Friday. We've gone around the country to just share, some of the views that we think can be incorporated by way of policy, by way of structural change, to ensure that this transition happens. One of the proposals is around corporatizing the institution, by transitioning it into a state corporation where they move from the executive office of the president into being a parastatal, so that they can be able to now have the mandate delivered better. They'll have a board that oversees their current operations and the mandate, and they can be able to deliver on the vision that has been established.
Yes. Yeah. Can the services, besides the services being accessed on eCitizen, is it possible to devolve the government press?
I think it's possible, but why devolve? Because if you make it quite efficient and highly productive and responsive to the customer requirements, you essentially may not be able to devolve in the strictest sense of it, where each county will have, for instance, a government press running, within their jurisdiction. You can have a government press that is centrally located, but which responds to all these requirements, because what you require is one, logistics, to ensure that citizens can be able to get all these services in good time, and that can easily be done. It's possible to partner with both the private sector and some of public sector institutions, including the Postal Corporation, to ensure that all these services can be availed at arm's length. Yeah.
Now, you've gone around the country doing public participation forums. What are some of the views that the public have raised concerning the services of the government press?
One is a pain point around getting documents. That's been quite coming across. Yes. Citizens, when we engage with them, there is a pain point around how can we be able to get our title deeds in good time. How can we be able to get passports? It's not a current mandate of the government press at the moment, but the public out there wants this mandate probably to be taken up by the government press to ensure that they can get their documents in good time. Beyond that is better citizen engagement, because when we interact with them, a lot of them don't know about the mandate of the government press. We may need to share a lot with them in terms of, what is it that we do. And beyond that is get tools. Currently, it's not reachable by way of digital services, appreciating that, majority of the population right now have a great degree of, digital skills, and they want to go into a website, probably read about an institution. When we were getting in, the government press didn't have a website, but currently it's been developed through the support of the task force and several government institutions. So those are some of the steps that we've been able to take. Beyond that is the issue around corporatizing the government press. There's been overwhelming support in terms of the transition to this direction.
Yes.
They feel that when it becomes a commercial parastatal,
yes,
then it can even take up more roles beyond the boundaries of Kenya. We can, for instance, go into neighboring countries and seek jobs around printing their exams. We can print their passports. We can be able to do all these kind of jobs. We can even do their currency and election, because it's one of the key things that consume a lot of our budget and our forex, and to an extent exporting jobs. Seeing how we can be able to also take on some of these roles and assignments. Yeah.
On that note, we'll take a short break. We'll be right back.
In a world filled with uncertainty, there is one thing we can always count on: the power of compassion and generosity. Every day, families in Kenya face unimaginable challenges and hardships. They struggle to put food on the table, provide shelter for their loved ones, and access basic health care. But today, you have the power to make a difference. By just contributing 1 shilling and 50 cents from your airtime, your generosity can provide access to sanitary pads, nutritious food, clean water, education, and life-saving medical care to those who need it most. To support this cause, please tune in to your favorite radio station under the KBC umbrella for step-by-step instructions on how to subscribe. KBC Helping Hands. Together, we can make a difference and bring hope to those in need.
KBC Channel 1 magazine programs strive to disseminate news and information.
Welcome to Happening in the World of Entertainment
and achievements of individuals navigating through life.
Be part of the intelligent conversation of KBC Channel 1.
Related to the interest of Kenyan public on various subjects of national importance.
Keeping you up to date with the latest tech news,
challenges, and remarkable stories of individuals with disabilities.
And you have a say.
Our magazine programs empower communities with words for conversations and a common language to approach the world.
For your infotainment needs, we have a great range of programs.
Welcome back, and if you're just joining us, this is Good Morning Kenya on KBC Channel 1, and conversation today is centering around the modernization of the government press. Before we went on here, we were talking about how this modernization will affect the entire entity of the government press. And I'm wondering, Bwana Nzomo, we use a lot of money printing things like ballot papers, especially for our elections, and we print them outside country. And is this one of the capabilities that the government press can do within the country?
Thanks, Mike. And, that's one of the things that, as a person has been troubling me.
Yes.
Because as a country, we need to get to a point where we can trust our institutions, because the world out there celebrates us in terms of what the country has been able to achieve on innovation, on, some of the disruptions across different industries.
Yes.
Talk about the telco industry, things like mobile money. We are the ones who brought mobile money to the world. We've seen in the banking industry disruptions by the likes of Equity Bank, who are case studies in Ivy League universities, because of the things that as a country we've been able to do. In this day and age, for me, having to export foreign currency and jobs to print ballot papers are some of the things that, probably as a country we need to start having conversations around, because I've followed all the election petitions right from 2013, and where the ballot has been printed has never been one of the issues that have been taken to the petition. Because look, Mike, when you go into a polling station, you don't care where this ballot has been printed. All you care is, I want to vote for this candidate, tick onto it, end of day, they count the ballot, and announce a winner. It's a count of votes. And through this has been the issue in petitions about the count, not where ballots are printed. Because I know that, for instance, every election we are spending in excess of 4.5 billion Kenya shillings, money that would go into the local economy, build industries, be it the government press or other auxiliary institutions that will be supporting this. But beyond that is also the regional market, because that's a requirement even for other countries in the region, Uganda, DRC, Rwanda, name them. They have all these requirements, and in a modernized government press, these are some of the capabilities that we are looking at, where we can be able to transition the institution into doing high security printing. Ballot papers can be one of them. And, if come the next election, we can have that capability and save on that money, use that money locally. It will save the country a lot. It will build jobs locally, as opposed to the scenario where, we've been doing this requirement in countries, small countries, Greece, printers in the UAE, where all you require is a machine that has that capability, and you can be able to secure. When you go to South Africa, you see that they also print their exams. We don't, our national exams. We can get to a point where all these exams can be securely printed, because when there's been issues around exam leakage, it has never because of where it's been printed. It's probably at the local school. So if we can be able to trust our institutions and empower them to be able to do all these works, I think we'll be in a better position as a country, and it will be a patriotic duty for us to support institutions that we build ourselves, so that they can be able to serve ourselves and even generations to come.
So from what you've just said, it's all about adequate funding and leveling up to the technological advancement so far.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And also skilling the manpower that is there, empowering them to be able to deliver on that mandate.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you talk about modernizing the government press and looking at the commercial capabilities and opportunities, talk about the capabilities, the commercial capabilities and opportunities that the government press will gain once this modernization happens.
Right. So thanks, Mike.
Yes.
I've spoken about the opportunity for us to be able to serve regional markets, because as a task force, when we convened, we said that let's look beyond the boundaries of Kenya. What else is available out there? As an industry, globally, this industry is as 60 trillion in terms of size.
Wow.
That's 20 times the budget of this country at the moment. When you look at the local market, we are talking about a market of around 50 billion Kenya shillings.
Wow.
Which is a market that currently the government press is not going after. But just to caution and indicate that we are not seeking to crowd out SMEs. the guy that is printing at River Road, this place near former Jack and Jill supermarket, a lot of the SMEs that are operating there. We don't intend to do that. We want to go for jobs that, like I've mentioned, things like printing exams, things like printing passports for the region, things like, printing passports, I mentioned that, and if possible, even currency for some of our neighboring countries. Those are capabilities that we can be able to incorporate and be able to make a few bucks for this country.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and what when we talk about modernization, we cannot ignore the importance of training and skill development. What is the role of training and skill development of employees that will be working in the government press, especially to enhance the smooth transition to modernization?
Thank you, Mike. In terms of skills development, I wish to say that one of the things that we realized when we went into the government press is that it has some of the best skilled and highly trained workforce. They've been trained all the way into in London. Some of them taking programs for 1 to 2 years to ensure that they can be able to deliver on that mandate as printers. But because we are in a period of change, what we've been able to do is that we've partnered with the local institutions, some of which are government parastatals. I can mention them. The Kenya Literature Bureau, which is one of the best run publishing houses in the country. It's a government parastatal, but which is commercially viable. They are giving money to the exchequer. So we are doing a role shadowing for our employees at the government press. We are sending batches to the Kenya Literature Bureau for them to be able to understand the operation. What happens when you modernize your machines, your new machines? What happens when you use technology? Because currently that technology is not there. In terms of design and publishing, all these employees are being taken there to be able to learn. There's also a local commercial partner. I'll mention them, Ramco Printing, who are a large commercial printer in the country, and they've been willing to support at no cost to the government to support our employees be able to transition into that space. Other corporate organizations are also supporting us in terms of agile working. Agile is where you can be able to turn around orders, you can be able to turn around operations in a faster way. Beyond that is ensuring that total quality management, and we are also getting support from the Kenya School of Government and other people who can be able to now support us in terms of ensuring that our workflows respond to that. What the Japanese famously call Kaizen, where workflows can be able to move from one stage to another efficiently, effectively, with very minimal fault.
Yes. Yeah. Let's go back to the issue of public participation. During the public participation forums, in your own assessment, does the public have knowledge of the government press?
I would say as an institution, probably to a limited extent. In terms of services, yes, they appreciate. It's only that when you get your birth certificate, a lot of times you don't care where it comes from.
Yes.
It comes from this institution. And when we interacted with them, some of them were surprised that this institution has been the one that has been doing all this work for them. And I think it's about the level of citizen engagement or customer relationship management. And this is an area that we want to use technology to ensure that it's done better. There is a better citizen engagement, and customers can easily interact with the institution.
It speaks to the how you are going to leverage communication and improve accessibility and public awareness.
Sure, that is going to be done. I've already said that our website is already in place. We expect that in that website we'll have capabilities built around customer relationship management, where you go in, you can be able to query, and using what are called bots, you can be able to get response on if you want to apply for a birth certificate, this is a process. If you want to apply for a title deed in the Ministry of Lands, this is a process. And because we are working on an integrated government platform, then that would be able to go a long way in terms of enhancing service delivery.
What about social media? Because mostly people are on Facebook, some are on Instagram, some are on Twitter, which is now known as X.
Yeah.
Are you going to leverage on the social media? Because right now the social media has a wider reach of the masses. Are you going to leverage on that, and how is that going to happen?
Absolutely, and that's what I'm saying, that because the website is currently under development, we are improving on the features. So incorporating feeds on social media will be one of the things. We'll have probably an office that will be looking at social media marketing, citizen engagement, so that when you send a query, then there's a team that can be able to respond to you in good time. Beyond that is where we can also incorporate. There's a movement towards government, social media for business.
Yes,
you can be able to use your platform to be able to place an order and do business with us. Yeah.
Now, the government press is, we can say it's analog. Talk about how this old machinery has affected the competitive advantage of the government press.
Right. Analog is probably an understatement. I would say manual. Having interacted with the institution is that one, I say on order processing, it's a purely manual process. It goes into even budgeting, planning, production capability, procurement, all these particular areas. You'll find that it's a purely manual process. What it does is that there are inordinate delays in terms of production. Customers cannot be able to track their orders. You cannot be able to print on time. In manufacturing, they call it manufacturing in time. So when you get an urgent requirement, probably there is no setup that could cater for that. Beyond that is, like you're saying, when you want to place an order, then it has to be a manual process. You bring an LPO and stuff like that. If it's a payment, strange for us. The last time I saw a money order was way back when I was in college or high school to pay my school fees. But there's a requirement that some of the payments, because of the legal requirements, required to be paid by money order. So we found that. So it's very difficult for you to be able to track some of these payments. So from a reporting perspective, management efficiency, also staff productivity, having them to get involved a lot in manual processes is not good use of their skills. If we can be able to automate some of them, why not? If we can be able to get machines that will be able to run much more efficiently, support them to produce more, support them to be able to make much more, I think that's the place that we want to be.
So using machines that were developed or acquired between 1930 and 1980, it also means that looking for spare parts is a big challenge, because it's not something that you can readily find readily available, given the technological advancements that have occurred not only in Kenya but around the globe. Talk about that.
So interesting, and the reason why I say that the government press is lucky to have some of the best trained engineers.
Yes.
Because looking at a machine at face value, and I say that some of the operators or manufacturers have already closed shop.
Wow.
So there is no support. So engineers at government press have been quite creative and innovative, and even fabricating some of the parts. We went in there and we're talking about a machine, and you're told that this part, working with the numerical machining complex, they designed the part, and NMC now supports them in terms of production. So they've been able to work, albeit at very low scale. Is that the best option? Absolutely not, because all these machines are fully depreciated. There are machines that probably the best place for them would be in a printing museum, where we can be able to showcase some of the technology, because I believe that they are available in very few places in the world. So that's the current situation. In terms of employee safety, what is called HSE, is that the work environment also requires to be modernized to respond to some of these challenges, because they're also working with the chemicals. And, there are challenges around, protective gear. Is that available? How is the office environment? Does it take care of that? And I think as a task force, when we went in, those are some of the things that we saw and which are persuading us to move towards change.
Given that the government press is a government institution, what sort of support have you received from Parliament so far?
I would say that for Parliament, just to let you know that all the bills have to go through the government press. We publish all the bills. It's a statutory requirement, both for national and county governments. The support that we would require from Parliament at the moment is that once we come up with the report and the proposals that require budgetary support, is now for our National Assembly to put it in their budgets, where machines require to be procured, for them to factor in that. It's a very small ask for us. And that's what we feel as a task force, because once you put in this money, 2 or 3 years down the line, you'll not be appropriating money for the government press. They'll be running by themselves, but beyond that, the beauty is that they'll be having capability of sending money back to the National Treasury, like we've seen for other institutions. I've mentioned Kenya Literature Bureau. After transitioning into a parastatal, they are currently able to run their operations, but beyond that is give money back to the National Treasury. If we had 10 such institutions, the things that we are talking about, debt and supporting government in terms of getting finances would be resolved.
And that will make sure the things that are running within the government press are running smoothly.
Absolutely.
Now, how do you, when you talk about printing crucial documents for the government and the birth certificates and the people, the IDs, the passports, how do you go about billing ministries and other government institutions? How does the government do that? The government press go around that? Are there institutions that are not billed? Are there institutions that are billed?
Right. It's an interesting question. And, as I say that, the institution is facing budgetary constraints. But strangely, there are institutions within government that require to get services free of cost. Allow me not to go into details about that. So the transition that we want to see is that all services have to be paid for. If this institution has to be sustainable, it has to charge for services. The current scenario is that when a ministry, for instance, Ministry of Lands, have a requirement for title deeds, then they place that order to government press. Obviously, at the moment is that there is no demand of a payment immediately or in advance. It's been a challenge, around, getting pending bills because, delays of payment, and because, people feel that, we are at arm's length. We are colleagues and we can be able to do all these works. But printing takes money. There are consumables. You buy ink, you buy paper. For some of the documents, is specialized paper that is not available locally. It's a security paper that you have to get specifications for and import into the country. So who pays for that cost? It ends up burdening the taxpayer. If we can be able to get all these institutions pay for services, we'll get to the point that appointing authority envisions around us being a commercially viable entity where we can be able to make money for ourselves, probably have very minimum margins, but those margins to sustain the institution so that we don't get 60 years down the line into telling our great-grandchildren that we are working with machines that were procured in 2023. Yeah.
Now, even as we talk about modernization, is the government press going to be onboarded onto the e-citizen platform?
Yes, that's already in transition, and we are working with the e-citizen team to ensure that by the time all these changes come into place, then because it's a government directive, it's a presidential directive that all government payments have to be on that platform. That is already on course, and we are working with the team at e-citizen to be able to incorporate that. And when you look at our website, those are some of the links that will be available for you to make payments for services.
As a task force, you have a timeline within which you are supposed to give recommendations. Can you say that currently you have what is needed to actualize the modernization of the government press, and in what duration is this modernization going to happen?
Right. So the life of the task force is 6 months. And in the last 5 months or so, what we've been able to achieve is we've done a situational analysis. We've an asset count. We've looked at the current assets, the machinery that is available there. We've also scanned the market and already have an idea of what sort of machines can be bought to support the government press in terms of its modernization. Some of the things, like I said, require budgetary support. Some don't. Like I've said that we've already received support from another institution of government to build the website. Those are some things that will not require budget support. Others is around change management. Probably there'll be a small aspect at the end of it all in terms of designing the current culture for the employees. But largely, when we get them exposed to different institutions at zero cost, then that's a good position for us. For the machines, for the technology that is required in terms of IT systems, ERPs, it's now Parliament to support us in that. Are we ready? I would say that substantially. The only bit that was remaining was around the public participation, which I have said that we concluded last week on Friday, but it's not closed. Members of the public can still give us views through emailing memoranda to us. And then we expect by the 20th of December to already have a report that we can present to His Excellency the President, subsequent to which now the rest of the processes is around implementing that change within the government press.
Someone listened to us talk about modernization and the technological advancements that the government press is supposed to be using right now. Would wonder, will that affect completely the aspect of the manual labor in the government press?
We may not absolutely eliminate manual labor. What we are building is efficiency and productivity capacity. Getting on board machines that will be able to, for instance, do 1 million copies in an hour or so, or something similar to that, as opposed to the current situation where you can, probably hypothetically produce 5,000 copies. If you can produce 1 million, then that's modernization. It's building efficiencies and high productivity. Some of the aspects, probably will still require manual interventions in terms of dispatch, but we're looking at having an end-to-end process where, once you put in a job, if it's a job that is highly secure, then the machine or the printing line can, at the end of the line, be able to package it for you, so that it's secure, no access, and you can be able to, code it and dispatch it for distribution to your customers.
So even as we do away with the old machinery and bring in the new technology, how is that transition going to be?
One is around change. There are different ways of adopting change. One of which is a big bang, where you bring in a machine and ship out the one that is already in place. That may not be the best or viable solution for us. We want to do it, transitionally, where we bring in a machine, it starts taking on some of these jobs.
Yes.
And subsequently, we now start retiring those old machines. As we retire them, the decision as to what happens to them will be, guided by the public procurement and disposal acts, where we can probably donate them into a museum, which museum can be domiciled within the government press itself or outside. And I think that would be the best option, because when you look at those machines, I think there's beauty in getting the history put down for what some of these machines were able to do for us.
Yes.
Just to reflect back is that the government press initially used to print also exercise books, and there's a whole line that is there. Can that be put in somewhere? Can that be repurposed to do other things? And the engineers there tell us that, for some of the machines, you can repurpose them to do other things, including packaging materials. Yeah.
So let me ask, when it comes to modernizing government press, how is there any concern for data security during the modernization process?
That could be there, but because we are well guided by other government institutions, as I said, that we are not working alone. We are being supported by different agencies of government, and currently, where the government press sits is within the EOP, where all security agencies can be able to support us, including the data commissioner.
Yes,
they'll be able to advise us on how we can be able to take care of some of these things. But just to note that in my experience there for the last 5 months is that we have staff with one of the highest level of integrity in terms of keeping information, upholding the highest levels of confidentiality for some of the information that they come across, because they're the ones who deal with Gazette notices.
Yes.
They deal with very sensitive government documents and information. But rarely will you find the public having access to that information. Yeah.
So, in your own view, what has the government done, or what are the steps that the government has taken with regard to the government press in enhancing its online presence, given this time that you are now recommending modernization steps of the government press?
I would say initially that was not there. But when we came in, we realized that that's a need that needs to be incorporated. It was not part of the mandate, but we saw it fit to ensure that online presence in terms of using digital tools, that's in place. And we've already set in motion for a very robust ICT system to come on board to deliver on that change. Ours government supported. I think the setup or the gazettement of the task force is good testimony about the intention of the government in terms of this transition. And I trust and believe that in the fullness of time, within the shortest period of time possible, that transition and that change will be visible to all Kenyans.
Well, in terms of time,
yeah.
This transition, is it going to take? Is there a timeline like 1 year, 5 months, 6 months? How is this transition going? How long will it take for the government press to now say we are fully modernized?
I think, Mike, and you asked a question around support, budgetary support. If we go down and go the amount that we're looking at, in terms of buying these machines, in terms of bringing this technology, that change can be fast-tracked, because the rest of the change is around the people. Because we require the people to transition from the current system, be responsive, be a lot more agile, and have the commercial sensitivity that we are now looking at getting business out there. I would say that given if we get budget within a year, some of these things could be put in place.
Yes.
Because currently, for instance, they require to hire people, looking at business development, salespeople that will be able to go out there, much as we depend on our foreign missions to, for instance, position the government presses as a center of excellence for security printing in different countries. We require that entire setup to be in place. And I think 1 or 2 years would be good enough transition period for us to be able to achieve that goal.
What are the key performance indicators that will be utilized to measure the success and effectiveness of the now modernized government press?
One of the KPIs is one, profit earning, that they can be able to make a profit, and beyond that is have a dividend to the main shareholder, who is the National Treasury. Number 2 is around the kind of jobs that they'll be taking up. That currently they are not printing passports either locally or for our neighboring countries. If we get on board that would be a great one for us. In terms of security printing, we've spoken about ballots, we've spoken about exams.
Yes.
If we can be able to print for other countries, that would be very key for us. But beyond that is from an employee perspective, there are tools that you can be able to measure, staff engagement, Then for a customer perspective is things like what we call net promoter scores. That it becomes top of mind. That when you speak about excellence in printing, both commercial and security, then our customers to be able to say that the Kenya government press is a place to go to. Yeah.
Now, even as we talk modernization of the government press, are there environmental considerations when it comes to eco-friendly practices in printing, especially using the recycled papers and environmentally sustainable inks?
Thanks, Mike, and glad, and we're only coming from the Africa Climate Summit that happened in Nairobi, the first in the continent, and there was all this talk about clean energy. Kenya, we have no problem around clean energy, but we want to see, what is the best way for the government press. Things like incorporating solar in, some of the energy requirements, be it lighting, be it within some of the premises. Those are things that have come to mind. But one of the greatest wastes within the government press is paper. We want to see how best we can be able to use that, in what is called circular economy. Be able to recycle some of this paper, do other products at the end of the production cycle. Because, there's a lot of cutting, when you produce, you find that huge waste in terms of paper, which is a problem in terms of disposal. There are also chemicals, which are the best ways in terms of disposing these. And I think we are looking at making the production line to be a lot more greener, but also cleaner, so that we become a lot more responsive to the environment and for sustainability.
Yes.
Thank you.
Talk about the content. Are there recommendations revolving around the content management systems, especially when it comes to adopting these systems to organize and manage data and content that is to be printed by the government printer efficiently?
So in terms of content management, one is we are looking at technology that is available, because there'll be design software that already we are working towards. But beyond that is the information security aspects. How we're going to secure that is that we've also recommended as part of information security management, ISO certification, where these institutions, standard institutions, can come to us and look at our current arrangement, propose measures in which we can be able to tighten our security systems to ensure that data is protected.
Yes.
But beyond that is the role of archiving and business continuity, where we've already made recommendations around some of the ways that we can ensure business continuity for the government press. Presently in terms of physical infrastructure, but also in terms of the information assets. Yeah.
So when we talk about making the government printer a commercially viable entity through modernization, is the government printer going to seek business with other entities apart from government? I'm talking about private businesses. Is that part of the intention? And how are you going to go about? How is the government printer going to go about that?
Absolutely. It's part of the vision in terms of going out for opportunities that will be able to give us a bit of income. And I say that these commercial opportunities can be both locally and regionally. Where there is a regional opportunity, we go for them. Where there is local, we go for some of these opportunities. But the caution that I put is that we will not be going for crowding out SMEs out of their printing business. I don't want to be looking at a government press that is going out there and for instance printing wedding cards, printing those small jobs.
Yes.
We are looking at large volume transactions, books, for some of the publishers where this opportunity comes by, marketing materials for which are in bulk. and also attract, if we drive efficiencies, then some of these SMEs can also come to us, where we can print the jobs for them, if that be the case, but not for us to go for that small business. We want the person at the bottom of the pyramid to also continue eating their cake.
Besides the government printer getting its funding from the government, could it be that the failure to diversify the services, has it contributed to the government press making not enough or inadequate money for itself?
I think it's both structurally, institutionally, and based on the current mandate, where, like I said, that for some of the government agencies are currently not paying for the services. Yes, these services cost money, but they've not been paying for them because that's how people found it to be, right from those days. That to print certain documents for some ministries, they think that it's not a service to be paid for, and I think that's been a great constraint in terms of both modernizing and ensuring that continually support can be availed to those machines to maintain them to service the customer requirements. So that's been the main challenge, because if you don't get this money, then how are you going to service the machines? How are you going to ensure that the workplace is as beautiful as I see your studio is?
Yes.
So without the money, I think that's the biggest pain point for the government press, and I think the transition and transformation will be able to address these pain point for the government press.
Yes. Yeah. I'd love for you to go back to the partnerships and talk about its role in the way it's going to affect or enhance the performance of the government press.
So partnerships will number one, support us in the transition phase, where, like I've said, is private sector to come and give us best practice. And I take this opportunity to also welcome those who are willing to work closely with us. Just caution that you don't give us an invoice. You are serving this as a patriotic duty, as a corporate.
Yes.
To support us to move this institution to where it ought to be. One of the things is around change management, and I know different organizations that have been involved in agile transformation, where they've been able to bring on board agile methods of working, because that's where we want to be. We want to run the government press as the best run commercial entity, in the private sector, where becomes a center of excellence in terms of talent, in terms of skills, in terms of technology, and that's where we are calling in on the private sector to support us in this journey, because we all ought to be proud of working or having an 128-year-old institution that is still in operation in the country. I don't know how many are. Probably Kenya Railways, is it there? Very few organizations will be able to hit that mark in terms of age in operation. And I think that's where we call in partners to come and support us to actualize this change.
Yes.
Beyond that is, for them to support us once we transition, for them to support us in giving us business, so that now, continually we can start building our brand image, our reputation as that place where you can be able to get all these excellent services efficiently,
yes,
and in a very customer-centric and a customer-delightful manner.
How would you say the government press compares to other government press in countries around East Africa?
In the East Africa region, I would say that we are lagging, and which is unfortunate, because Kenya has been known to be the leader, the regional leader in all aspects, in the economy, in terms of sciences, in terms of arts, in terms of entrepreneurship, name it, all the sectors. But for this particular aspect, we are lagging behind. When I look at Uganda, they've just got into a joint venture with a company that is supporting them in a similar transition. A partner that came on board through a PPP model. They brought in machines, the technology, and that is what is supporting the government towards achievement of the vision for a new government press. Going down South Africa, I say that the government press there is doing a lot of jobs. They are printing, including passports for the SADC region, and which is a market that probably for us in East and Central Africa we can go for, including West Africa. And I think all these options, all these capabilities and opportunities are available for us to take on once we transition. Yeah.
Will there be a place for maybe government press advertising for its services?
Absolutely. Once we become commercially viable, that will be undeniable. And we have to go out there. We have to get the hunger for business. So advertising will be one of the ways. And you mentioned about social media. It becomes key, but beyond that is the personnel that have to get involved. In terms of structure, there has to be a department that is looking at business development and sales, customer engagement. All these will be put in place to ensure that now we can respond to that mandate of the commercial viability.
Yes. When we talk about commercial viability, we cannot ignore the idea of quality assurance. How will the government press, once modernized, go about this issue? Especially because you'll be dealing with you hope to attract business from other entities.
Thanks, Mike. I spoke about some of manufacturing philosophies around total quality management, and which is one of the things that we are proposing. So TQM will become part of that process. Will ensure that we have quality control labs within the production process, where as production happens, and there are people that are looking at that quality so that there is consistency. In printing and publishing, there is what is called house rules. I mean house standard, where this standard is known to be unique to this particular institution, and the quality control labs will essentially be doing that. So that our customers get delighted about the end product. But beyond that is the role of feeding back, getting feedback from our customers. And I talked about technology being a very key cog in this process. Having a CRM solution, customer relationship management solution, where customers can also be able to feed back into our production process to make it a lot better, respond to their needs. Because the reality is that the 21st century customer is more discerning. They have a lot of options. So when they see some of these things happening out there, them having a way of sharing it back with the government press so that we can respond to those needs and become a lot better in terms of production and in terms of responding to the customer needs.
Maybe someone listening to us talk about modernization of the government press. We'll wonder why. What are the advantages now?
So advantages, are very clear. I spoke about if you modernize, and that's by way of technology, equipment, people, and process, is that efficiency will be enhanced, productivity will be enhanced. It will be an environment that will be attractive for the employees. They'll feel much more satisfied to work in that environment. But beyond that is going to attract customers to you. It's going to attract business to the entity. From a government perspective, then we become a center of excellence. We can train or accredit professionals within this particular area. We become a training ground. And beyond that is that we also create employment. Because when all these come together, then there'll be opportunities for our youth to get jobs within the press itself, but also within the entire ecosystem.
Because when we talk about creating employment, it's one of the things that every youth in this country is looking forward to. Maybe someone wondering how are they going to benefit from this? How are they going to benefit from the fact that this institution has been modernized? How then am I going to benefit as a person?
It's clear, the benefit that accrues out of it is that, there'll be both direct and indirect opportunities for our youth through direct employment, because currently we are looking at if we expand, if we modernize and become commercially viable, then the opportunities are immense for us in terms of business. Which will open up job opportunities. Beyond that is opportunities for even supplies. You know, we will be requiring consumables that go into these machines or go into this production. Where are we going to get them from? Is of course within the local economy. It's our youth who are going to provide this. And the reason why, you know, reflecting back when I talked about us exporting jobs, because when we export some of these jobs, when we want to print our exams out there, when we want to print our ballots there and everything else for government, what happens is that we are creating those jobs in those jurisdictions and denying our youth opportunities. So if we domicile all our production here, trust our institutions, then all these jobs will be localized within the country.
How, in your own assessment, how do you say the government press has performed under the current technology that they have that dates back to 1930s? How do you say they have performed, given the current technological advancement in the country and the kind of technology that they are using right now?
Simple word, I would say best effort. They've been there, you know, I would not label them otherwise. The staff there have done their best. You know, I've seen them spend nights in the office because, you know, a machine has problems and there's work that requires to be done. It has a deadline. It's a gazette notice that requires to be published on a Friday. Yet the machine is giving them trouble. So for me, it's best effort. And, you know, these are people that require to get national honors.
Yes.
Because, you know, when you go there and see the environment, the machines they're working with, you know, they've done the best in terms of patriotic duty. And, you know, there's tremendous commitment by all of them to ensure that, you know, with this, you know, with this technology of the 30s, they still manage to get a gazette notice out or a title deed out.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, the implementation of this technology to streamline the production process, what gives the government press that unique perspective that once we are modernized, we are going to achieve the mandate that we have been given by the government of Kenya?
Right. I would say that one of the unique selling propositions by the government press is that it has covered by way of statutory mandate. There are jobs that no commercial printer will take up from them. And those are opportunities that they can be able to leverage upon. Some of them, you know, obviously they've not been charging for them. You know, they need to start charging for that. Beyond that is, like I said, you know, opportunities that will be able to accrue out of that modernization, that, you know, they can be able to go for opportunities, I mean, for jobs outside of the country. And they can take on more, you know, which, you know, for them is a good thing.
It's going to be an interesting transition for the government press. In your own view, how do you see this? How do you envision the government press in the next, say, 5 years, given the modernization that is intended to happen in the institution?
For me, I'm seeing you know, quite a rosy picture in terms of what the institution will have become, you know, by, you know, 2028. Because yes, we've spoken about the role of digital, where we can, you know, have capabilities around, you know, QR and whatever technology that will be available then.
Yes.
Where, you know, from your home, you can be able to get some of these documents, print them, pay for them, then they avail them with all the security features, and you can be able to print them from your printer in the house. Direction that we'll be taking, so that, you know, for gazette notices, you know, you have e-gazettes and there is value that accrues from them. Beyond that is, you know, for the regional opportunity, I'm envisioning where they'll be doing a lot of the works for the regional governments, where capacity is a problem. You know, small countries, I don't want to say small countries, but countries within the region that will be looking at getting, you know, their exams, their passports, ID cards, all these documents, security documents, printed here. So that's the kind of institution that I'm seeing. But beyond that is efficiencies and effectiveness in production. I'm seeing in 5 years a very productive workforce, and that the government press becomes an employer of choice, where people within both the printing profession, but beyond that is information management, find a place and an institution that they want to be associated with. So that's the kind of vision that I have, where we can give back to the national treasury, earn profits, and have zero reliance on the exchequer. So that's the institution that I'm
envision.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about a modernized now government press. How will it position itself to become a major player in the realization of the national economic goals?
So how is this going to be done is that it's going to be a key player in the national economy by way of generation of income, creating of economic opportunities, and I said these are through job creation, both direct and indirect. But for largely, once we decouple from the national treasury or exchequer support, then this releases money that can be able to go into other sectors. Because when I look at the budget currently, this budget that could be able to do several roads across the country. It could be able to build, for instance, a hospital. It could be able to do other things, support education. So that's the kind of benefit. From a macroeconomic level, you're seeing that value that comes with the modernization.
Now that we are talking about technological advancements, in your own view, how can the government press leverage on the artificial intelligence in its automation efforts, and in terms of becoming a modernized government press that is competitive in the market?
So in terms of AI, for me, AI would come in by way of ensuring that there is integrity in the documents. We can combine both AI with distributed ledger technologies, which are commonly known as blockchain technologies, where once a document has been produced, it's the only true source of truth.
Yes.
So that if I have a title deed, then that title deed is known, and there's visibility across the country. Several platforms are available to do that, and I think it's the role of the institution that we create, or the recommendations that we take up, that all these technologies be put in place to ensure that scenes where you've been in this country, you've seen where people have been fleeced of their cash, by land cartels, and they end up losing their properties. So I think with technology, those are things that can be addressed. And I think that's where tech like AI, machine learning, and all these security technologies can be brought in place to ensure that is done. Beyond that is in terms of production processes, that's a future. We're going into a future where some of this can be done effortlessly and with minimal human intervention.
Talk about the place of innovation and research in terms of the government press, and now where we envision a modernized government press and its ability to remain competitive in the printing industry.
So innovation for me would be in the realm of continuous improvement, where I don't know whether that will be a department within the institution once the change happens. Though it's critical that they have that in some format or another, to ensure that they can keep responding to the requirements of the customers and the present day challenges. Because I don't want to 100 or so years down the line to have the leadership then have to set up a task force to correct wrongs or delays in adapting to change. And it takes a lot of time to do that. So for me, research, development, innovation will play a key role in ensuring that the organization is a lot more agile, but also responsive to the requirements of the consumers.
Yes. Yeah. Sometime back during our conversation, you mentioned something about branding. Yeah. How are you going to, what are the strategies, the marketing and the branding strategies that will be necessary in ensuring that henceforth the government press remains more competitive and attracts more business?
Right. I think, because when we were going around the country, one of the questions that we were putting across was whether there is need to change the name of the government press. Mm-hmm. Because you've observed is that you keep, interchanging between government printer, government press. Do we want to have a name that, it's easy, top of mind, mm-hmm. that our consumers can be able to identify with? Mm-hmm. If that be the case, then I think that's important to do. Mm-hmm. Beyond that is the brand building, because once you change a brand, there'll be brand building initiatives. Mm-hmm. What are some of these? Some of them could be around citizen engagement, could mm-hmm. be around CSR activities, mm-hmm. Could be having signature events mm-hmm. where, for instance, in a year you can have, the printing week, mm-hmm. you can have an event or expo for the printing industry where, some of these things can be shared. Mm-hmm. A lot more participation in public events, mm-hmm. where citizens can be able to know a lot about the services and products of the government press. Mm-hmm. Beyond that is use of media, which is top of the line. Mm-hmm. Advertisement, because mm-hmm. you asked the question whether we'll be advertising for services. That's one of the ways in terms of building the brand, mm-hmm. engaging more so that there is more visibility. Mm-hmm. We've spoken about social media. How is our engagement at the moment? Very minimal or zero at all. Mm-hmm. So going forward to ensure that we are in that place, we are in the customer's face, and they interact with us, they can be able to reach us, we engage with them, and they engage with us.
Yes. Is there a need for education and training programs, especially in government entities and other private businesses, on the advantages of using the government printer in terms of printing services and fostering stronger partnerships?
I think that's critical from a customer education perspective, because I just want to share an experience. Last week I was in Nakuru, interacting with the county government of Nakuru, and they have pain points around their business permits. Mm-hmm. Yet, these are capabilities that is currently within the government press, mm-hmm. in terms of ensuring that your permits, mm-hmm. or your trade permits cannot be duplicated. Mm-hmm. That you'll have security features that will be able to tell you which is genuine and which is not. Mm-hmm. And what did I learn from that is that mm-hmm. If the counties knew that these capabilities exist within the government press as of now, mm-hmm. they will be using their services. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a lot, there's room for greater engagement, mm-hmm. Customer education on what is it that the press as is, even before the transition, can be able to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, what about how can the government press use the customer feedback to achieve customer satisfaction, especially if it seeks to incorporate the feedback from the public and the government itself?
Right. They say feedback is the breakfast of champions, and it can be the breakfast of a printing champion as the government press. Mm-hmm. So, and I said it, this feedback ensures that your processes can be improved, your systems, you can be able to get better ways of engaging with the customers. You'll be able to get their feedback in terms of market positioning, in terms of pricing. Mm-hmm. All these will go a long way in terms of improving service delivery. Mm-hmm. And I say that all these modules are some of the things that we have recommended by way of ensuring the right systems are in place, and we can be able to track all these customer feedback. Mm-hmm. Within a very short period of time, once budget becomes available, those are capabilities that, Mike, you'll see being in place. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, even as we modernize the government press, this is technology, and sometimes maintenance will be very, very, very important, given that we'll be using now the modern ways of printing. How is that going to happen?
One is going to be dependent upon the model of acquisition of equipment.
Okay, all right. We are going to Mombasa, where the Deputy President is currently in. Is going to open the 30th IEK International Convention in Mombasa. The convention brings together the national and international engineers who will be talking about solutions into engineering solutions into the future, especially in the area of infrastructure, the inclusion of ICT and other areas that engineers can help in making sure that the country or even the continent moves forward. Right there, that is the Deputy President, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, greeting guests at the international convention, the IEK International Convention happening in Mombasa. The images are live right now, and yes, that is going to happen exactly now. And we are going to keep tabs of what is happening, and I'm about to hand over to one Regina Manyara. Regina, if you can hear me, please take it away.
That is Deputy Rigathi Gachagua. He's making his way to the auditorium to officially open the 30th IEK International Convention. This convention has been running from yesterday, being the 14th, and is expected to culminate on the 17th. That is Friday, but today is the second day and the official opening of this international convention that has drawn the attention of over 4,000 local delegates and 400 international delegates. That's the chief guest making his way there after a warm welcome from some traditional dancers. These are just live images of what is happening at the auditorium. In the morning session, we are expecting some opening remarks from including the president of the IEK, that is Engineer Eric Ohaga. And as you can hear, we want to hand you over to the master of ceremony for this day to take us through this particular meeting, or rather convention, so to speak.
Thereafter, we shall remain up sung the national anthem and the East African anthem and a word of prayer. Asante sana.
Well, as we await the chief guest and also the MC to take over the running of this particular convention, this is just to remind you that there are some of the themes that are going to be discussed in this particular morning session include "We are going nowhere without engineering," a theme about what engineers are doing to ensure that we move forward at a time when the country as well as the globe is facing a myriad of challenges, including climate change. Also, the regulator, that is the Engineers Board of Kenya, led by the registrar, Engineer Margaret Ogai, is also going to be leading a panel of professionals to have a conversation around engineering for socio-economic growth. The engineering profession has been termed as solution seeking, looking at the future as well as current challenges there. From some of your feed, you're seeing some international delegates who have also made their way to this particular convention, where session from tomorrow is going to be about how do we broaden our scope as local engineers, and also creating an avenue for international engineers to come and practice engineering here in Kenya. Matters of communication, soft skills, use of technology, as well as social media are also going to take center stage today as engineers discuss soft skills for engineering. In the afternoon, we are going to be having 5 breakout sessions that are going to be running concurrently. where the first one is going to be tackling matters of housing, infrastructure and transport. Second, water, irrigation, environment and climate change. The third is going to be handling energy, electrification and ICT, while the fourth is going to be tackling manufacturing, machinery and buildings, and the last but not least, engineering for food security. In Eldoret last month, engineers had converged under the theme of that particular meeting was engineering for food security. Food security has been one of the main agendas of the Ruto-led administration, focusing on the BETA, that is the Better Economic Transformation agenda there. This is another theme that has also made its way into the IEK convention theme and is going to be handled in the afternoon. We're expecting representation from private sector that have already made their way, and also a very representation from government. And we are expecting PS Charles Hinger of matters to discuss matters of housing, as well as housing and engineering. Engineering for the last few, especially in the buildings and construction sector, has found itself at crux. Where some buildings have actually collapsed, led to the loss of life and property, and the regulator has been at the fore to demand that all that are taking up these particular projects are registered with the regulator to stem and keep off unscrupulous professionals who have infiltrated this noble profession. Further on in the morning session, we're expecting to also hear from Transport Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen, who is going to be speaking to matters of infrastructure, transport and finance for engineering. It is going to be a packed day, but for now, as we understand, our chief guest has already made his way to this particular facility. We're talking about Pride in Shanzu, and he is going to be making his way to this main auditorium where he is set to address those who have made their way to this particular auditorium for this convention. Later on, we're going to be hearing from various speakers, including those from Ghana who have also come to participate in this particular convention. And allow me to just give their names and titles and what we should be expecting on a themed convention that is Engineering a New World. Interesting enough, engineers are also going to be undertaking a discussion on soft skills. Yesterday, during day one, where women inclusion and young engineers conversations took center stage, a challenge was drawn by some professionals, indicating that within the engineering sector, conversations breaking down the jargon that is used by engineers, talking about what solutions are out there, is not effectively communicated, and as such a need to adopt technology, especially the use of social media and having communication channels so that the layman Wanjiku can understand exactly what engineers are doing and where they can seek their services going forward. These are just live pictures, and as I mentioned, we have over 400 international delegates who are attending this particular convention, drawn from various parts of the world. And we're going to have key speakers also speaking to this, including a representation from Ghana, and as you can see there, some engineers on your shot. That is members of the engineers board, that is EBK. We are seeing engineer Mato there, who is also a member of the council. We had the privilege of having a conversation with them and saying some of the expectations is that this particular convention is going to bring local engineers as well as the international engineers to speak in one voice at a time when the regulator is working on having the Washington Accord implemented. This would mean more job opportunities for local engineers locally, and also allowing them to practice across the globe. Today's program is as such. We're expecting a keynote address by His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. And before he actually takes to the podium, we're going to be hearing from FAEO President-elect Rifuole Bulezi, that is engineer, as well as the WCC, that's the World Council of Engineers President, Engineer George Emilio Amian. We're also going to be hearing from the EBK Chairman, that is the Engineering Board of Kenya Chairman, Engineer Erastus Mongera, as well as the President of the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, Eric Ohaga. Soon after, before having the Deputy President give his key address, we're going to be hearing from the PS Roads, that is Engineer Joseph Mbogwa, followed by Governor of Mombasa, His Excellency Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir, who is yet to make his way to the auditorium. And last but not least is going to be the Cabinet Secretary, Roads and Transport, Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen. Those are just live pictures of what is happening. But what we know right now is that any minute from now, the Deputy President is going to be making his way to the auditorium. Some of the breakaway sessions are going to be highlighting on the issue of manufacturing, machinery, built environment and services. And this particular session is going to be led by Engineer James Mwangi, assisted by Professor Alex Mumba. And the conversation is how Africa is going to work together when it comes to the manufacturing sector. Manufacturing and having value addition in the manufacturing value chain has been prioritized by the government and also identified as a catalytic sector of creating jobs and also boosting the economy. But still, Africa remains nascent in trading with each other, and this conversation is going to be pegged on how to build capacity when it comes to intra-African trade, looking at this particular sector and also focusing on having experts play a key role in this particular sector. On matters of climate change, the conversation is going to be running around climate change against a national greenhouse gas emission reduction commitment for developing countries and adaptation of power utilities, which is a case study for Kenya that has been carried out by Ariel Mutege. This will be a conversation that comes months after Nairobi actually hosted the Africa Climate Summit that resulted in the Nairobi Declaration, a walk-up towards COP28 that is going to be happening at the UAE by the end of this year. And this is a conversation where what is Africa doing when it comes to matters of climate adaptation and mitigation. A lot came out from that summit, and it was a clarion call for Africa to speak in one voice, given the statistics indicate in as much as Africa bears the brunt of climate change, it is yet to get reparations. The chief guest, that is Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, has made his way. Now we hand you over to the Master of Ceremony.
We shall remain upstanding for the national anthem and the East African anthem. Studios. We shall remain upstanding for the opening prayer, which will be led by Bishop Dr. Engineer Samuel Sharagu. Karibu sana, Bishop.
Let's all pray. Our Father and our God, we thank you this morning. We glorify your name for bringing us together as a fraternity of law engineers. Thank you for bringing to us His Excellency, the Deputy President of this fabric, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, and the Cabinet Secretaries who are with us, and all the readers. We pray that, Lord, as we begin this convention, you'll be with us. Thank you for our guests from all over the world who have joined us in this convention. As we begin, be with us. I pray for protection of each one of us. And as we deliberate on how we can engineer our world, the Lord will be with us, giving us the insight, for you have all the knowledge. And we pray that in all our deliberations, you will be able to give us an insight on how we need to engineer our world. And I pray for protection upon each one of us, that as we begin the week and the day, you will be with us, dear Father. Thank you for bringing us together. For in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we may take our seats. Your Excellency, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, Rigathi Gachagua, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Roads and Transport, Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, Principal Secretary, State Department of Roads, Engineer Joseph Mbugua, Engineer Eric Ohago, Consulting Engineer, Fellow of the Institution of Engineers, IEK, Engineer Mongera, Consulting Engineer, Engineer Shehu B. Mustafa, World Federation of Engineers of Kenya, President, Engineer Joge Emilio Abramen, World Council of Civil Engineers President, Engineer Refilwe Buthelezi, Federation of Africa Engineer Organizations President-elect, Presidents of other professional engineering institutions, Director Generals, Chief Executive Officers, Executive Directors of various state corporations, IEK Council members, EBK board members, directors of other state corporations, distinguished delegates from Kenya and other represented countries, good morning. Your Excellency, welcome to the 30th IEK International Convention. The theme of this year's conference is Engineering a New World. Your Excellency, to start us off this morning is an entertainment piece from the Kenya Busy Dancers, a mixed traditional group that is well known for their rich, authentic African performances all over Africa. Today they bring to you a song originally from our neighboring country, Tanzania, that goes by the name Nyamwezi, which is a welcome song. Makofi mazuri to the Kenya Busy Dancers. Asante sana, tuwapigie makofi the Kenya Busy Dancers. Makofi mazuri tafadhali. Asante sana, Your Excellency. We are now moving to the next segment of our program. With your kind permission, allow me to call on stage the first speaker, and that is Engineer Shama Kiteme, the Honorary Secretary, Institution of Engineers of Kenya, IEK. Welcome on stage, Bona Engineer. Let's give him a warm round of applause.
Your Excellency, our chief guests, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, the CS Roads and Transport, Engineer Joseph Bugwa, PS for Roads and Transport, Engineer Eric Ohaga, IEK President, Engineer Rastas Mongera, EBK Chairman, Engineer Mustafa Shehu, WUFIO President, Engineer Bramian Joge, WCC President, Engineer Refilwe Butelezi, FAO President-elect, representatives from parastatos and all dignitaries present, council members, distinguished delegates. Good morning. Your Excellency, my name is Engineer Shama Kiteme, like you heard, and I'm the Honorary Secretary of the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, and we are very pleased to have you here today, Your Excellency. This being the 30th IEK International Convention tells you we have had 29 previously, and we are gathered here in this convention with over 4,000 of us and 50 from different countries, and we are very pleased to have you open this session where we are gathering as engineers to ponder through issues that affect our world today with a global impact. And you have made history for being the first Deputy President to join us in this auspicious occasion. Your Excellency, mine is not a speech, it's just to invite you and all the delegates to enjoy this convention. But I know you are a truthful man. And for that reason, sir, I want to request you as you go back out of your busy schedule to remember three things, mambo matatu. Your Excellency, we have the best brains in this room, and these are the engineers. And we are going to be very helpful to the government of Kenya in implementation of your bottom-up economic transformation agenda. Your Excellency, we have seen past regimes give jobs that engineers in Kenya can do to other engineers from foreign countries, and we pray that you're going to be our champion because you have graced our occasion today as you chair the IBEC and as you chair the cabinet subcommittees, so that you're going to have us take leadership role in this engagement so that we can build our country. The third point, Your Excellency, is that the next time you have a cabinet reshuffle, please get engineers to be cabinet secretaries, to head parastatos as MDs, DGs, and CEOs. Your Excellency, we have a packed program, and we are very grateful you honored us with your presence, and you are going to be part of the history of engineers in this country for the years to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Engineer Shama. Your Excellency, with your kind permission, I now bring the second speaker on stage, the President-elect of the Federation of Africa Engineer Organizations, Engineer Refilwe Butelezi. Karibu sana. Let's give a warm round of applause.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Deputy President, may I ask you to allow me to stand on the protocols that have been observed earlier this morning, and I greet you all distinguished guests, fellow engineers. I would like to start off by congratulating Kenyan nation. I observed a public holiday, you called it tree planting. I think that is a step in the right direction. you have made sure you're taking everybody with you in promoting and observing and creating awareness for climate change. I do believe you will reach your goal of planting 15 billion trees within the next 10 years if you remain consistent. Congratulations to you all Kenyans. I did enjoy that. The Federation of Engineering Organization within the African continent stands for a beacon of unity, a beacon of collaboration and progress across the entire continent. And with that, we understand that as a structure, we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do in ensuring there's harmony in terms of our standards, in ensuring that we leverage from one another, in ensuring the skills is transferred, Your Excellency. And I do believe that as a federation, I would like the Kenyan Engineering Society to understand that we are here to listen. We are here to support. But not only that, we are also here to plead with yourselves as our leader to continue supporting the institution of the engineers of Kenya. As the President-elect of FEYO, it would be remiss of me to only identify the brains in this room, Your Excellency. We do have technologists, we do have technicians, and I would like to encourage the engineers in this room to start collaborating. We are not going to get it only on our own as engineers. We are taught different skills across the board. We need one another. Let us start collaborating so that the next time we have this, there is power in masses, there is power in numbers. We can achieve a lot more. And let me tell you, as engineering professionals, I promise you, if we can unite, you will see an engineering professional in cabinet because we have the numbers. So let us think different. Let us think different and we can certainly achieve it. As the FEYO President-elect, I do promise that within FEYO, we will establish a political desk. I have heard that our professionals would like to participate in politics. I have heard that our professionals would like to take part in policy making, and I promise and I encourage all of you to do so. What we will do from our side is create an enabled environment for you to achieve that. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Thank you very much, Thomas.
Thank you very much, Engineer Efilwe. Your Excellency, I now ask your permission to invite the World Council of Civil Engineers President, Engineer Jorge Emilio Abramian. Karibu sana, let's give him a warm round of applause.
Good morning to you all. I'm very pleased and honored to be among all these distinguished people in this wonderful country blessed by the nature. Let me say that it's not very usual to have in this kind of engineering meetings a vice president or a ministry. Not in my country. The next step will be to make engineers be part of the decision process. Here we are gathering communion. We represent the engineering community. IEK has put together with great effort. I know what these efforts, worth to put together a meeting like this. And that is for us to enjoy, learn, and share. As engineers, we are curious. We try to understand how things work. In my case, I came here with great expectations. It is not true that engineers are only focused on physics, mathematics. On the contrary, the engineers' problem-solving capacity is closely related to the evolution of humanity, associated with progress and the health and wealth of the people. You know that I represent the World Council of Civil Engineers, an organization created to promote the profession and its values. We educate our people to fight corruption. We give chances to engineers to meet peers all over the world. we give opportunities for continued education and to participate in international technical teams at no cost. I am here to participate in the General Assembly of the World Council of Civil Engineers that will run parallel to this convention. But as important as that, I also humbly come to learn about your culture that intrigued me since I was a teenager. I come to admire your mountains, your sea, your jungle, and most of all, to meet your people that are courteous, warm, kind, always with a smile on the face. I'm here to serve you and to offer you the little I might know. Heartily, Asante.
Thank you very much, Engineer Emilio. Your Excellency, with your kind permission now, allow me to invite the next speaker, who is the World Federation of Engineers Organization's President, Engineer Shehu B. Mustafa. A warm round of applause to Engineer as he comes to make his address.
Your Excellency, the Deputy President, Republic of Kenya, Your Excellencies, the Presidents of IEK, EBK, FAEO, WCCE, national member institutions, including the Nigerian Society of Engineers, fellows and members of the Institution of Engineers Kenya. Let me say I'm very delighted to be part of this gathering this morning. And for me, having taken over as the President of World Federation of Engineering Organization, this is actually my first outing in that position in Africa. For that reason, I have to say a very big thank you to IEK and all the national member institutions that have really contributed very much to what we are witnessing today in the WFEO. Our ascension to the apex leadership of the global engineering body could not have been possible if there is no cooperation within the African engineering fraternity. And for us to remain relevant at the global level, that cooperation has to be maintained and sustained in the years ahead. Another thing I want to draw our attention to regarding this development is the fact that the African engineer is now trusted at the global level. His colleagues at the global level have confidence in him because of his competence and his credibility. And for that reason, I'm very glad the Deputy President is here, and I have to say it loud and clear. Having been trusted at the global level, Your Excellency, it goes without saying that we should be trusted at home. And I am also joining my words with the words of the General Secretary, Sheme Kiteme, that the engineers here in Kenya and other African countries are really capable and willing to handle any responsibility, be it at the political space, at the policy space, or at project space. For us at WFEO, I want to assure all the engineering institutions here present that the interests of the African engineering institutions must be protected. In that respect, I want us to collaborate more to ensure, first of all, we have more numbers of engineering institutions that register with the World Federation of Engineering Organizations and also participate actively in the affairs of the World Federation of Engineering Organizations. It's one thing to be a member, it's another thing to be actively participating at the affairs of the World Federation of Engineering Organization. Another thing I want to draw our attention to is the issue of the necessity for us to have the African Engineers Register. We have in Europe the Engineers Europe. We have the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN Engineers Register. We should have the African Engineers Register that will give every African the platform and latitude to practice everywhere in Africa. We are trusting ourselves at individuals level, but we don't trust ourselves at institutional level. And I think the fact that Africa is the continent that needs more to be done in terms of infrastructure development, the opportunities are more in Africa, and we have to position ourselves so very well to make sure that we tap on these potentials we have within the African continent by having the African Engineers Register. On my part, as WFO President, I am collaborating with the African Union Commission as well as the United Nations to ensure that once we develop that register, they endorse it. With these few words, I want to say a very big thank you to everybody, and I'm looking forward to the communique that will be derived out of this conference for implementation as far as the WFO is concerned. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Engineer Mustafa. Your Excellency, with your kind permission, allow me now to invite the Chairman, Engineers Board of Kenya, Engineer Erastus Mwongera. Karibu sana, Engineer. Let's give him a warm round of applause.
Your Excellency, the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, the Cabinet Secretary for Roads and Transport, Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, the Principal Secretary, State in Department of Roads, Engineer Joseph Mbogwa, our host, the President of the Institution of Engineers of Kenya, Engineer Eric Ohaga. Your Excellency, allow me to observe the protocols previously pronounced. It gives me great pleasure and honor to be part of the 30th IEK International Convention 2023, themed Engineering a New World. Your Excellency, I wish to thank you for joining us for this convention. This is a testament of the high regard by the Kenya Kwanza government on engineers. His Excellency the President was with us in June for the Engineering Partnership Convention this year. We are also glad that over 20 engineers have been appointed in various high-level positions by His Excellency the President. The fruits of these appointments and the proper policies to support the professionalism will ensure the realization of the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. Your Excellency, at the Engineers Board of Kenya, we believe we must focus on developing engineering capabilities. Engineers are the driving force behind national projects, and their expertise and ingenuity are instrumental in shaping our nation. We must deliberately invest in their training, skills development, and knowledge enhancement to ensure that they are equipped to focus the challenges of the 21st century. The policies will see enterprises that produce local products emerge to expand, creating jobs, wealth, and transform the lives of ordinary Kenyans. It is for this reason, Your Excellency, that the board is keen on the entire value chain of engineering education, training, and practice. A proper education sets a basic standard for having a good engineer in training and practice. The board is therefore keen on ensuring engineering curricula at our universities meet the standards of producing a graduate engineer with the required minimum competencies. The board is therefore seeking our own government approach in ensuring the program accreditation framework is reviewed and harmonized within the stakeholders. The harmonization of engineering education standards will be critical in the bid of Kenya to accede to the Washington Accord. And Your Excellency, I want to inform you that in this continent of Africa, only 2 countries have achieved this accreditation, South Africa and Nigeria. We hope and are working very hard to be the third, hopefully by next year. That will enhance mobility and the competencies of local engineers in the global liberalized market. And some of the tangible benefits, Your Excellency, will be like our universities becoming centers of excellence and attracting international students, and also our faculty being attractive globally, where they go and be external examiners and take short-term consultancy and teaching attainment. In conclusion, Your Excellency, it is imperative that we create a robust framework that ensures adherence to the quality standards, promotes transparency, and minimizes professional misconduct. By doing so, we can build infrastructure that is resilient, sustainable, safe, and capable of withstanding the challenges posed by climate change, like we are already witnessing in parts of this country. We therefore seek your support in building such needed engineering technical capacities in the counties to ensure their projects are approved and supervised by professional engineers. In that note, I wish to stress the need of registering of projects by engineers to ensure quality and accountability is achieved. This photo was launched by His Excellency the President in June this year in Naivasha, and engineers are encouraged to register their projects there. With those few remarks, I wish to thank you, Your Excellency, and may God bless you abundantly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer Erastus. Your Excellency, I humbly request to invite the next speaker, and that is the IEK President, Engineer Eric Ohaga. Let's give him a warm round of applause.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. Allow me just 1 minute to recognize some of the president present here, Your Excellency. I just want to appreciate the President of the World Council of Civil Engineers, Abraham. Just stand and wave, please. The President of the World Federation of Engineering Organization, Mustafa Shehu. The President of Engineering Council of South Africa now. You are not now the President of Africa. Please just stand and wave. The President of East African Federation of Engineering Organization, Engineer Collins Juma. The President of Sierra Leone Institution of Engineer, Engineer Trudy Morgan. The President of Nigerian Society of Engineers, Engineer Margaret Oguntala. The President of Burkina Faso Order of Civil Engineers, Engineer Kabore Sonia. The President of Ethiopian Society of Civil Engineers, Engineer Jonas Ayew. The President of Uganda Institution of Professional Engineer, Engineer Andrew Muhezi. And the President of the Ghana Institution of Engineers, Engineer Kobena Kompon. I also want to appreciate the presence of the Association of Consulting Engineers, Engineer Patrick Wambulwa. The Vice President of FIDICH, Engineer James Mwangi. Eminent engineers in the room, just wave wherever you are. And the private sectors who have made this.
Well, currently speaking is none other than President of the Institute of Engineers of Kenya, IEK, our host for this international convention, being the 30th chapter, Engineer Eric Ohaga there. Earlier on, we had from the chairman of the regulating body, that is the Engineers Board of Kenya, on this second day of this convention, which is on official opening day, where we have Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua officiating this particular ceremony. In not too long, we're also going to be hearing from Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen of Roads and Infrastructure on this particular day, where matters of how do we include matters of engineering in infrastructure for socio-economic growth. This is official opening. We already have 4,000 local delegates who've made their way to this particular convention, and at least a representation from 50 other global countries who have sent delegates to have this conversation. Before we actually took that particular break, it was a call to action for Africa to work together and unite when it comes to matters of engineering. And those who took to the podium have actually explored, or rather are exploring, the possibility of having an African Engineers Register. This will mean that Africa can benefit from the brains it has within the continent when it comes to engineering, that those from Kenya can actually work in Angola, and those in Angola work all the way to South Africa, creating a network to build more capacity. Locally here, the regulator, that is the Engineers Board of Kenya, is working at having the implementation of the Washington Accord that will actually open those doors for local engineers to enable them expand their territories in terms of the services that they offer, and also open the country to having international engineers come and practice here. This particular year's theme, the 30th IEK International Convention, is about engineering a new world. We'll continue keeping tabs on what happens on this official day. We already know that the Deputy President is already gracing this particular occasion, and we're also going to be hearing from Charles Hinga in the afternoon as we discuss matters of smart cities as well as affordable housing. For now, we hand you over to Broadcasting House for normal programming, including the Senate live proceedings. I'm Regina Manyara. Now, back to you. Bunge la Seneti asubuhi ya leo, yapo mambo kadha wa kadha ambayo bunge la Seneti linatarajiwa kuangalia. Na kama ilivyo desturi, kila Jumatano waziri mmoja au wawili hufika mbele ya bunge la Seneti. Na kwa vile hawa maseneta wanatuwakilisha mimi na wewe kutoka kaunti mbalimbali,
Na kuomba ukae utulie, manake haya maswali yanakuhusu mimi na wewe. Kwa sasa mtazamaji, naomba nikufahamishe mawaziri ambao tunawatarajia asubuhi ya leo. Kumbuka tunawatarajia tu, lakini iwapo watafika hatujui. Iwapo watakosa kufika hatujui. Tusubiri tuone mambo yatakwenda namna gani. Waziri wa kwanza ambaye tunamtarajia ni waziri